Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday night edition of USA Hockey's Officiating Zoomcasts. My name is Scott Zelkin, and I'll be your host this evening. And in celebration of Hockey Week across America, we bring you one of our special episodes here. We're not going to talk nuts and bolts. We're not going to talk philosophies of officiating as a general topic. We're bringing you our Meet the NHL Officials episode. Normally, as part of USA Hockey's celebration of Hockey Week across America, we give young officials around the country an opportunity to go to a National Hockey League game, spend some time with the officials before the game, answering questions, talking to them, and learning a little bit. And obviously this year, because of the situation with COVID, that is not possible. So we're giving you the next best thing, and that's getting to spend an hour with some current and one former National Hockey League official. So I want to welcome our panel, our guests this evening for this fun Q&A. The first one, and we're going to start in order of seniority, going newest NHL official to our most veteran NHL official. So I'd like to introduce Jake Brenk. Jake is a referee with the National Hockey League, hailing from northern Minnesota. He's a 218er from Detroit Lakes. He's been with the National Hockey League for 6 years and a product of USA Hockey's officiating program. And Jake, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, Scott, thanks for having me. It's good to be on with you guys, and happy Hockey Week across America to everybody.
Awesome. Next for us is number 29, hailing from Philadelphia, Ian Walsh. Ian's been a referee with the National Hockey League for he's 22nd year. He is also a product of the USA Hockey officiating program, and he's coming to us tonight from a secret location as he's in transit, working his way across the country. So, Walshy, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me, Zeke. Good to be here. Glad I could make it. Last minute thing. I was supposed to be on the ice right now in Dallas, but the snowstorm down there has me on the road, and I'm checking in from Reno, Nevada right now, on my way home for a couple days, or maybe not, who knows. But glad to be here, and glad, wish I was with everyone in the rink, but glad to be a part of this great episode.
Great. Thanks, Walshy. And then finally, our senior member of the group is actually recently retired. He worked his final game in the National Hockey League last year in Chicago, just before everything kind of shut down. We're not going to tell you how many years he spent with the National Hockey League. We'll just say that when he started, maybe some fans might have been watching on a black and white TV. Number 93, Brian Murphy, worked over 2,000 games in the National Hockey League, multiple Stanley Cup finals, hailing from Dover, New Hampshire. Murph, thanks for joining us.
It's a privilege to be here, Scott. Thanks for having me. And it's always great to be involved with anything with USA Hockey, and especially on a special week like this. So it's great to be here.
Thanks, Murph. And I should also mention that Brian, a couple of years ago, was honored with USA Hockey's Distinguished Service Award for all of the work he's put in with USA Hockey. So we're really lucky to have Brian, Jake, and Ian here to kind of talk with us. So as we do with every episode, we're not going to really change things up here. We're gonna run a couple of poll questions, and they're going to be kind of fun ones. We're going to test the audience's knowledge, a little bit of USA Hockey officiating trivia in conjunction with the National Hockey League. So we're gonna throw a couple of polls up here, a couple of questions, only two. How many officials are currently in the United States Hockey Hall of Fame? And Jake, do you know where the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame is located?
Actually, yeah, it's in the great state of Minnesota, guys. It's in Evelyn, Minnesota. So if you get a chance to go, it's a great family trip.
There you go. And Evelyn is probably not too far away from Detroit Lakes.
Yeah, that's we've been up there. We used to go up there and play some tournaments, and it's really cool to go up there and see it. A lot of history there, a great tradition, and they really take their hockey seriously up there in Evelyn. So pretty neat.
Awesome. And then our second question is, what American NHL official has officiated in 4 Winter Olympic Games? So there's only one, And one of our certainly our best NHL officials ever. Is it Don Adam, Dennis LaRue, Brian Murphy, or Gord Brossiker? So we're gonna close up the voting here in a second, and as the votes come rolling in, and here we go. Let's see where we're at. So we stumped the audience, that's for sure. So how many officials are currently in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame? Ian, do you know how many current American officials are in the USA Hockey Hall of Fame? We're going to lose Ian. So Murph, how many officials are in the USA Hockey Hall of Fame?
There's 3. Bill Chadwick, the big whistle, Kevin Collins, legendary linesman from Springfield, Mass, and Paul Stewart, who not only played in the league with the Quebec Nordiques, but from Dorchester, Massachusetts, but a longtime referee. And then Stewie's grandfather's in as well. He coached the Chicago Blackhawks, but he also was a baseball umpire and did some refereeing too.
Yeah. So we're going to go with the answer being 3. And then finally, Jake, the audience thinks Brian Murphy has worked for Winter Olympic Games. Do you think that's right, or do you want to guess anybody else?
You know what? No, I got to go with Murph on this one. Walshy, what do you got? Can I phone a friend? I don't know. I think
you can phone a friend, and it is the Lord of the Rings, Donnie Adam.
Okay, and you guys would both not be winning $1 million. So the answer is Dennis LaRue.
Wow.
So Dennis LaRue has officiated 4 Winter Olympic hockey games. A couple as an amateur, and then a couple as a professional while he was with the National Hockey League. So I will tell you that's a record that probably will never be broken by an American official to work 4 Winter Olympic Games. So having a little bit of fun with that. We'll now get into a little bit of some question and answer with our officials, and certainly for the audience that's watching, if you want to throw anything into the Q&A or the chat, we'll share your questions with our group. But I guess first off, Ian, normally with Hockey Week across America, it's an opportunity for young officials to come into the dressing room and spend some time with you guys. Talk to me about that experience. What is that like? Do you enjoy it? What's one of the best things about having that opportunity to mix with some young grassroots officials?
It's been a real rewarding process for me on a couple different ways, because I was involved heavily with the USA program in Philadelphia, the development of younger officials, and a lot of the younger officials that we promoted were able to do it in Philadelphia or New Jersey. And so seeing those younger guys that I worked with get a chance to go into the locker room and meet guys like Murph and Jake and Rooney and Puck Mara and all the different great USA officials we have, it was always nice to see them kind of see it from our eyes and be in the locker room and share that time before the game. So from that side of being a mentor to some younger officials and having them reach out to me and say, wow, I got to go to Philadelphia and spend some time in the locker room, and the guys were great. It was an awesome experience. It was really rewarding for me. And then on the other end, being part of it where we had games in Minnesota or Denver or Texas, where I was able to spend time with younger officials and just talk to them about the experiences I've had over the years, and thinking back to my roots of being a USA Hockey amateur official, working USA Hockey Nationals, going to development camps, and just sharing those and saying, hey, we all have that in common. We all strive to work the USA Hockey Nationals. We strive to make it to regional camp and national camp and select camp and things like that. So having that in common with a younger official, just to let them know that I was in your shoes a long time ago, much long time ago now, but I was in those shoes right where you are, and keep going, and hopefully it'll work out for you.
This is what I get for muting myself. And Jake, I'm gonna guess, as a little bit of a newer NHL referee. It's probably a pretty special thing for you as well, because you're a little closer to being kind of on the other side as well, right?
Yeah, Scott, I really enjoy it too. I mean, the last couple of years being involved with the National Hockey League, it's been great. And to have the kids be able to come into the room with their families and enjoy the experience of coming into our locker room or coming into an NHL building is a really fun thing to see. I was only able to go to one NHL game when I was a young kid. My dad brought me to one game, and I never forgot it for the rest of my life. And so it's really special for us to be able to see that. You never know how many games these kids are getting to. So it's a really cool thing that USA Hockey is doing to connect us with a lot of those officials, because it's just a special moment in those kids' lives. So.
Oh, that's cool. And so tell me, Jake, what got you interested in officiating? When you first started out, you first put on your, a striped sweater. Why did you do that? Tell us a little bit about your advancement towards the National Hockey League.
Yeah, actually, my dad did a lot of refereeing when I was a kid, and I always saw how much fun he had doing it. He had a blast with his buddies, and he did it for a long time on the side of working his job. And he took me along with him a lot of times. I got to go to a lot of different places and see how much he enjoyed being around the game, and he enjoyed refereeing. And it was kind of a natural progression for me. I started out doing a lot of refereeing in my hometown as a youth hockey player for extra ice time and cash. And once I got done playing, I knew I was going to get back involved in hockey in some circle. And I got the opportunity to go to a camp in Minnesota, the MHOA camp put on through Minnesota and USA Hockey. And it opened a lot of doors for me for learning about how some of the guys are getting involved in some of the higher level games like junior hockey or the development program. So yeah, that's kind of how everything started for me, was going to all those camps and just seeing how much fun my dad had with it. So.
And Murph, kind of same question for you, but what got you interested in officiating, and then, how did you advance slowly but surely up the ladder to ending up in the National Hockey League?
Well, I became an official because I was working at the local rink when I was going to college at the University of New Hampshire, and I was driving the Zamboni and working an 8-hour shift, and the men's league referees would come in and work 2 hockey games and make more money than I did working an 8-hour shift. So I was a business major, and it didn't take me long to figure it out. So, I probably got into officiating for the wrong reasons. I got into make some money when I was going to college, and my high school hockey coach and my mentor of mine, Dan Raposa, he was a Hockey East referee, and got me interested, in working higher levels, and motivated me to really become more of an official. And so it was through him and through USA Hockey, really going to some development camps and those opportunities that really, paved the way for me to get into Hockey East and the American Hockey League, and which eventually led to getting hired by the NHL.
And Walsh, kind of same question for you, but as you get along and you started as a young official, was it going through the camps for USA Hockey? Like, what helped you make those steps to end up working in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was being able to go to the USA Hockey camps. I was able to go as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old to regional camp in Lake Placid. I moved on to national camp at St. Cloud next year, where you were one of my instructors. From there, I was able to kind of bounce that into a job with the USHL. And along the way, that was my foundation of officiating, those USA Hockey camps. I ended up going 5 years in a row, I believe. And the last of those years was when the NHL offered me a job with the trainee program. So looking back, those times at the summer camps was how I built the foundation to start my career.
And when you say foundation, what do you mean by foundation?
The camps really do a great job of reinforcing the basics, the positioning, the role knowledge, the standard that's expected to be called, the judgment, all those things that you go through at camp is laying the foundation of making sure that you're doing everything correct in those areas. And then when you get to the camps, you start to learn about higher level of the psychology of officiating and how to handle a game or how to manage a game, where you might not learn that at your local seminar, but where the summer camps help you kind of get a grasp of how a higher level official would work and how to translate it into your game.
And Jake, anything you want to add in terms of those foundational things that might have helped you along the way?
Yeah, I think it was important when I was coming through to meet all the supervisors, to work with a lot of other high level officials, and we were able to bounce a lot of things off each other and learn a lot of different things from each other too. And so not to mention that at these camps, you're working a high level of hockey. You're usually doing the best players for their age group in the entire country. So, you know, you learn a lot at those events, and you get to meet a lot of great people.
And so as you built that foundation, Jake, and then, you know, tell us about your first game in the National Hockey League. When was it? Where was it? You know, tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, I am actually kind of getting a little shaky thinking about it again, because it was a great day. I actually started the day in San Diego, California. I was working the American League out there, and I had a game the night before, and I got a call on my phone from Stephen Walkham, and I think I answered it right away. And yeah, he told me I was going to Arizona that night, and Dave Jackson had gotten hurt, and I needed to come in. So I got to the airport as soon as I could, and I got over there. I got in a couple hours before the game started. The Oilers were playing the Coyotes down there. I remember that. My parents were actually in Mexico, so I couldn't get a hold of them to make it to the game. It was too close, but they were with me the whole time. But it was pretty cool. It was a day that I'll never forget. And I actually worked it with Frankie St. Laurent, Shane Heyer, and Donnie Henderson. So yeah, it was a great day. And you know, I remember being so nervous before the game, and the guys were trying to make me feel at ease because they could tell how nervous I was. And you know, I don't think my legs stopped shaking until I called my first penalty about a minute or two in. So it was good. It was an amazing day, like I said, and something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Brian, for you, when was your first game? And you know, you're working the lines. So, you know, when Jake worked, it was a 4-man system. When you started off, it was just 3 officials, but, you know, tell us about your first game.
I was in Washington, D.C. It was a lot different back then. Families didn't come and things like that. So it was definitely a lot different, but I worked with Dave Newell, who was a longtime NHL referee, and Gord Brassica, who grew up in Richmond, Virginia. And so it was pretty cool to work with them. And it was just, you know, Pittsburgh played in Washington that night. Mario Lemieux played, and, you know, it was at the old Capitol Center, and, you know, a lot of great memories from that. But the biggest thing I remember is still on my wall is the game ended, and I came in the locker room after the game, and the off-ice officials came in the room. So it was like, you know, it was like back then it was probably like 12 with 14 of them. They were all in the room, and they gave me this plaque with the puck from the start of the game on this plaque, and they gave it to me after the game. And so every time I've worked another official's first game, I've always gotten a plaque for them, and had somebody put the puck on during the game. We always gave it to them after the game. So it was something that was pretty cool. It's still hanging in my office here, and something you'll never forget. Yeah.
And Walsh, where was your first game?
My first game was in New Jersey, Anaheim Ducks against New Jersey at the old Meadowlands Arena. I worked with, my partner was Stephen Walkham, who's our current boss, Dan McCourt, who's an officiating manager for the NHL, and Brad Kovacic, who's become one of my best friends in hockey. And I was able to, it was close enough to Philadelphia, where I'm from. So my mom, my dad, my sisters, all my best friends, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody. I had about 25 or 30 people there to kind of celebrate the night with me. And yeah, it was a special night. Like Jake said, I remember the nerves and thinking like, wow, did I really make it here? Do I belong here? Am I ready for this? Can I handle this? And I just always thought of words a friend told me, like, if your boss puts you in a game, it's because he believes in you. So whether it's a final in an amateur tournament or a high school championship game or your first junior hockey assignment or pro hockey assignment or your first NHL game, your boss believes in you. And I had the confidence to go out there and do the best I could. So it was a great memory.
I think that's really good advice, or whatever level it is, when you get that opportunity at the next level, somebody had to believe in you to put you in there. And that's a good way to maybe help with those nerves or whatever. And so Jake, it's not that long ago since your first game, but certainly you've got a significantly more experience since that day. As you've moved along, what do you've learned now today here in 2021 that maybe you didn't know when you first started out working games in the National Hockey League? What bits of advice might you tell that younger version of yourself now that you're a little more experienced?
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott. I don't know. I mean, I feel like in this job, as you guys all well know it, you learn something every game. And one of the nice things about this job is you're constantly learning things, and no two games are the same. And just when you think you know everything, that something comes up and you had no idea. You've never seen that play before. And so yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I'm trying to take it one game at a time and learn from all the guys and learn from my mistakes and learn from all the games that I'm working, and just try to continue to build it up and get better every game and every week. And yeah, that's a tough question. That's a great question. Maybe someday I'll have an answer for you, but that's a great question.
Yeah, but you know what? I think you answered it a little bit when you started talking about learning from your mistakes, right? Nobody's going to be perfect. I'm going to guess none of us on this call, or the three of you guys, have yet to have the perfect game. And Walshy, you talk about learning from mistakes, and you've been doing it now 20 some odd years. I'm going to ask you the same question. What have you picked up along the way to help you as you've had the success you've had over the years?
Yeah, you brought up the word perfection. And I think as a younger official, you want to be perfect. You don't want to miss anything. You want to see every single penalty and every single non-penalty, and just have that perfect game every night. And it's not possible. It's just, you want to go out there as a young official and just be consistent and work hard, and don't try to be perfect. Let the game come to you. And you're going to miss calls, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to learn from them, and you're going to get better with more experience. And you can't let the game beat you up if you have a tough night where the calls don't go your way. But trying to be perfect, it's not something you should chase. Just try to work hard, work the best you can, and be consistent every night. And I think as I've been around the league for a while now, I've learned to be a little less hard on myself when things don't go my way. And you know what? If I make a mistake on a Tuesday night, I'll probably be on the ice Wednesday or Thursday night, and I'll get right back out there and do my best that night. And you can't put it back in the bag once it comes out. You make a mistake, you have to move on. You learn from it and move on.
Anything you want to add about that topic, Murph, in terms of learning from mistakes, perfection, and just some of the lessons you might have learned over the course of your career?
Well, I think when you start in the business, you really don't know what it's like to become a professional official. And I think that's something you'll learn over time, how to, accept mistakes, learn from them, you know, and especially when you make a mistake in the game and not make a second mistake, it's, you know, put it in the rearview mirror and keep working hard. But I think probably the biggest thing, you know, you learn is that, you know, you have to have a tremendous passion for the job and a tremendous passion for officiating. And, you know, since I've left the NHL, I've gone to work for Hockey East, running their men's officials. And I went to a game on Saturday night, and I come walking in the locker room before the game, and one of the veteran officials has been working college hockey for 25 years, is sitting there reading the rule book. And, you know, I think that's the type of person you have to be. You got to be a lifelong learner. You got to be willing to change. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, I think of so many things I changed over 32 years and did differently, whether it's working out or you know, how I study for the rules or, you know, things like that. You know, you just positioning on the ice, you can't be stagnant. You got to always be willing to learn and always be willing to get better. And that takes a tremendous amount of passion. And, you know, you learn this from being around the pro game, is how competitive those players are. You wonder how a player gets to the NHL. They are so competitive. And I think as an official, you have to be that same way. You got to want to be the best of the best, because that's what they're going to employ. And that's the only thing that's going to keep you there. And I think it's that motivation of just being the best every day. And it's certainly challenging.
And, you know, you talk about being a professional official and learning what it means to be a professional official. What's that mean to you, Jake, being a professional official?
Yeah, it's a 24/7 job. I mean, even in the summertime. I mean, like I said, I've only been on staff for 6 years, but it's 6 years that you go to school and you're seeing how the guys train. You're seeing how the guys eat. You're seeing how much they're watching their videos, or they're watching their tape, and they're preparing for the games. And to me, that's what being a professional is being ready to go when your number's called, and doing everything that you can to be the best that you can be. So I think we're lucky at the NHL level. We got a great staff, and we have some great leadership that is showing our young guys the habits that you need to be building in order to have success at the level that you want to be at, and what it takes to get there. And so, yeah, I think, to me, being a professional, it's not a half the time deal. It's you're all in on it, and you just try to make every decision with that in mind as you go along.
I think that's great advice. And, you know, you talk about building habits, you talk about being all in. I'm going to guess, Ian, you know, when you were first starting out and whatnot, did you know those things? Did you have to learn them along the way? Did you learn from other officials that maybe you worked with? How did you figure some of those things out?
I think as a young guy, you don't, like Murph said, you don't know how to be a professional. You don't know what's expected of you, and you learn as you go. And, you know, as a young guy coming into the league when I was 23 or 24, I got to, you know, watch how Brian Murphy conducted himself, how Dennis LaRue conducted himself, you know, how Kevin Collins conducted himself. And you learn from those guys, and they set great examples for our younger guys with their work habits on and off the ice, the way they took care of their body, they got their rest, the way they treated the people in the arena, the off ice officials, the coaches, the people that helped out our locker rooms, things like that, how they just were just professional about every aspect of their job. And now, as I'm, you know, one of the older, more veteran officials on the staff, and we have a very young staff now, I'm trying to set those examples for guys the way that Murph did for us as younger officials, and treat people properly, and, you know, take care of your business in the right way. And like Jake said, it's 24/7, and it's all year round. It's, for me, when I'm done, whenever my season's over, it's give my body a little break and then get right back to work and start training for the next year. So you're ready when you come to camp in September. You're you're ready to go, and everything you can control, you have controlled, and you're ready to have a great start to the season by being in top physical condition. And that's one of the lessons that Murph and other guys have passed on to younger officials. And that's what I'm trying to do now for our younger officials.
And Brian, if we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit for our audience, Ian just talked about all of the different people behind the scenes that maybe, one of a grassroots official might not know about: security people, trainers, equipment guys, locker room attendants. I mean, those are all people that help keep the show going, keep you guys as officials on the ice, right? And talk a little bit about your interaction with some of those people and how important they are to the day-to-day life of an official.
There's so many people involved in the game, and they really want to just be a part of it. It's not their job. They're just like part-time. It's kind of like a side life for them, whether it's the off-ice officials who do all the scorekeeping or run the clock or video replay and all that. Like I said, there's all kinds of building workers. There's, security people at our door. NHL has security people in each city that come in our room and are responsible for us that, if we get in trouble, we have a problem in the city, I'd be the first phone call I ever made. And they're all some of my best friends. They still text me all the time, even though I've been away from the game for 10 months. I still hear from all of them all the time, and so it's, I think that's the part, that is so special. It's a small group, and it's all how you treat people. I've seen this with some younger people. They don't recognize that these people are really, they have regular jobs and they just want to come down to the rink and go to an NHL game, but they don't recognize who some of these people are. I mean, Ken Reinhardt's the Rocky Mountain District Referee in Chief, and yet he's a commercial coordinator in Dallas, Texas, who comes in our locker room, and he come in the locker room and he's just some regular guy off the street. You don't really know him and stuff, but not only is he the Rocky Mountain District Referee in Chief, but he's one of the most successful lighting businesses you can have. And, he employs other people. I mean, he's a great person. And, it's those types of people. They just want to be part of the game. And I think you have to treat those people the way you'd want to be treated. And I think that's just so important. And I think you'll see that as long as you come along the way. I mean, I think we all get frustrated at the local rink. When I was at the local high school hockey game last week, and the kid running the clock just kept screwing up all the time, but he's just happy to be there. His brother might have been playing in the game. Who knows? I mean, he's just there, trying to help out and be part of it. And I think you have to recognize, no matter what level you're at, there are people that are just like that, and don't get mad at them. Treat them with respect, and treat them like how you'd want to be treated.
I think that's great advice. Jake, okay, 6 years in, what's the best part about being a National Hockey League referee?
Man, there's a lot to like. I think the best part is we get to go out as a team, as a 32nd team in the league right now. We get to go out there and we get to be on the ice with the best players in the entire world. I think to be able to have the responsibility and the privilege that we get to work in the National Hockey League, and just to be involved in the game of hockey at that level, it's a privilege and it's an honor. And it's the best players in the world. It's the best coaches in the world. It's the best league in the world. So to me, you just, if being a competitor, you can't beat that. You can't beat it.
And Ian, same question. 22 years. What's the best part about being a National Hockey League referee?
Jake hit a lot of really good notes there. To be able to go out on the ice with in my career, the Crosbys and Ovechkins and McDavids and players like that, it's kind of like surreal still for me at times. Some kid from Philadelphia who couldn't really skate and couldn't really play hockey that well somehow carved out a career in the NHL, and be able to compete, with the best players in the world and the best officials in the world. It's an honor, and it's really, 22 years in, and I still love going on the ice. And one of the best things really is being with your partners. And this year's been such a change and such a wake-up call for us. So much of our job is being together and working together and talking, and whether it's, you know, going for coffee in the morning or lunch, or just hanging out together on our nights off. And we really can't do that now in our times. Now we're kind of isolated in our hotel rooms, and not really, the social aspect of the job isn't quite what it was over the years. And you really, I've learned this year to really appreciate that time in the locker room with guys, because that's the only time we're really together this year. All the other times we're kind of shacked up in a room or off doing our own thing, and, you know, for the safety of the game. And yeah, you realize that you work with, I work with a lot of really good people, and I miss kind of hanging out with them. And that's kind of a bummer. So I guess that social part of the job is a great thing. But yeah, like Jake said, the competition and being able to skate with the best players in the world is pretty awesome.
And Jake, so, you know, look, for the last 11 months, everybody's world's been a little bit upside down. And I know for the hockey fans out there in the audience, not just the officials, they're all thankful and very appreciative that the National Hockey League is playing games and they can watch on TV, maybe in a few places even watch in person. Talk to us this year about how this year's different than what life was like pre-March 13th last year. You know, talk us a little bit about, you know, Ian talked about being kind of isolated a little bit more. What else is different? What's your life like compared to before?
Yeah, it's definitely changed a lot. We, you know, every day we go in for a COVID test every single day that we're on the road now. That's something that, you know, pre-March 12, we never even would have heard of doing something like that. So now that's become part of our everyday life. You know, Walsh can attest to this too. It's you know, with your travel schedule, you gotta make sure that you're getting into the city that you're working in, and you got to make sure that you're getting your COVID testing in every day so that you're eligible to work. You know, going into some of these buildings, Scott, you're going into, you know, for example, a building like Vegas that was just absolutely a complete nut house the last 3-4 years. You know, it's empty now. You know, some of these buildings that you're used to going in as a National Hockey League official, you're used to going in and there's not an empty seat in the whole place, and they're all empty now. So that's been an adjustment. You know, what else? Yeah.
Do you find it hard to get up for the games when, you know, normally you step on the ice and there's 18 or 20,000 screaming fans, and now you can hear a pin drop, or there might be the fake fans being piped in over the PA system? Is it tough to get motivated to do your job?
Nah, you know what? I don't think I've ever really struggled with that. You know, maybe some guys do, but for me personally, that's never been an issue for me. I felt like, you know, they do a good job of piping in the noise, like you said, but I've never really had a problem with getting up for the games. Once the game is on and the puck's dropped, it's business as usual, and we're out there to do a job, and we're prepared to go out there and do that job. So no, I don't think that's been different, but just the travel and the COVID testing and we getting used to wearing our masks everywhere. We've really been wearing a mask everywhere because everybody's been trying to be so careful when they're traveling. And so, yeah, there's just been a lot of curveballs thrown, and every day you wake up and you don't know what's going to happen for the day. So it's been quite different than years past.
No, for sure. Brian, you know, you reference now as you've transitioned off the ice that you're the coordinator of men's officials for Hockey East. But you also do a lot for USA Hockey, teaching in the summertime and things like that. And, you know, when young or grassroots officials might come into a room during a traditional hockey week across America, you know, what sort of advice are you giving to those young officials, or to officials that are working more on the local level? Maybe not even at Hockey East, but, what sort of general advice might you give to some of our grassroots officials that might be watching tonight?
I think the first thing is play hockey as long as you can. And I think some kids really want to get into officiating when they're younger. And I know some guys, like Jake and Ian, probably they got into it a lot younger than I did. I mean, I was 19 years old when I got into it, but play hockey as long as you can and enjoy playing hockey. And, if you can officiate some on the side, that's great, but play as much hockey as you can and enjoy that aspect, because you're going to have plenty of time to officiate games. And I think really the biggest thing is that, is to have fun doing it. You have to enjoy doing it. It's about the camaraderie that I think Ian talked about, no matter whether at the professional level or the amateur level. My brother does high school football, and some of his best friends are all the guys that do high school football. It's just, it's part of officiating. But really the biggest thing I teach it no matter when I talk to people, whether it's, kids in the room at Hockey Weekend Across America or teaching at the highest levels of USA Hockey summer camps, it's trust what you see. And Dennis LaRue gave me that line, and I'll use it forever. I mean, it's really the basic fundamental of officiating is I think people, start second guessing themselves sometimes or don't think what they saw is accurate. And, the reality is you got to trust what you see and just react to it. And that successful officials are the ones that do that, and that they have the composure and the confidence to make a difficult call in challenging times that will most likely be unpopular. And that's just the role of an official, and you have to learn to live with that and experience that. And but really the basic fundamental is trust what you see.
And Ian, same sort of question for you. What else might you tell a younger official, just general advice about officiating or trying to, move up a little bit or whatnot?
Yeah, my advice to younger officials, and you've heard me say this at different camps, is control what you can control. Take care of your rule book knowledge. Work on your skating. Work on your fundamentals of positioning. Okay, those are all things that you can work on all the time. You can know that rule book inside and out. Be the official on the ice that knows all the rules, the obscure rules, the rule differentials in different leagues that you're working. Be that person that knows those rules. When you get a chance to go work on skating, work on your power skating, work on turns, work on your edges, all those things. Work on positioning when you're working a lower level game. Maybe just work on your edge work in the corner or your positioning at the blue line, whatever it is you're doing. Those things that you can control, your physical fitness, all those things that you can control, take care of, because there's a lot that you can't take care of. There's assignments that you can't take care of. There's leagues that you're trying to get into that it's not really in your control. All those things that you can't worry about, don't waste time worrying about them. Do everything you can in your power to make yourself a better official. And that's the advice I've always given younger kids, is control what you can control. And that's always been my advice to young officials.
And Jake, you talk about that and being in the rule book and being a professional and whatnot. What advice, and we got a question from the audience, and I'm going to change the question a little bit here, but what advice would you give to an official that says, man, I want to be like one of these guys. I want to make it to the National Hockey League. What advice do you give to our audience if they say that's one of their goals?
I would say first and foremost, I think you want to work every game like it's the most important game in the world. I think, if it's an 8 o'clock in the morning game and the rink's freezing cold and you're there to work the game and it's the most important game, those guys that are playing in that game or those girls that are playing in that game, they're not thinking that it's the 8 o'clock game in the morning. They're thinking that they want to win that game and it's the most important game in the world. So to me, that's the first thing. And then the second thing would probably be to get in touch with your local supervisors and get in touch with your state level supervisors, because USA Hockey has a lot of different camps you could go to, and every state has their different camps that you can go to through USA Hockey. And that's how I got started. Is I went to the Minnesota hockey camp when I got done playing hockey, and I was introduced to some high-level people there, some supervisors that I'd never met through USA Hockey. And a lot of doors were opened up for me in order to get into those higher level games. So I think those two things are very important.
That's great advice. And we actually have another question about summer camps, and we'll touch on that in a second. But you've all of you have come back a little bit to the camps and whatnot. And I can say that, on behalf of USA Hockey, we're very proud of the summer camp programs that we run to help develop officials. And I think, believe it or not, even Brian Murphy, going way back then when the camp started, all three of you are products of the summer camps, as I am. And something that's great advice, Jake, to our audiences. The summer camps are a really good avenue. Brian, anything you want to add to an official that says, you know what, I want to be working at the TD North Garden, or I want to be working in Philly? How do I get there?
Get there with a lot of hard work. I think Jake made a great point. I was riding in the car the other day with one of our officials, and, his daughter plays hockey, and, he was frustrated because the officials that morning, kind of came out and gave like a half of an effort. And I think you have to realize each week that, those kids, that's their Stanley Cup. They show up on Sunday morning to play a youth hockey game, and that's their Stanley Cup. They're practicing during the week, and it's important to them. And, I think that, successful officials are the ones that work hard all the time. And, it's a lot of hard work to get to higher levels of hockey. And you have to have a tremendous passion and tremendous desire to want to do that. And, I think you have to realize that, along the way, you're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices. There's so many times where I think of so many things that I missed along the way because I was, busy with officiating and made just so many sacrifices to get there. But, I think Walsh, you gave some great advice earlier about, working on the fundamentals and things like that. And you really got to have a real strong foundation in your skating. I remember I came back from the first summer camp I went to, and I'd go down to the local rink at 11 o'clock in the morning. We'd have pickup hockey at 11:30. I'd get there at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be out there doing figure eights on the ice. And, the people at the rink thought I was crazy, but, I tried to improve my skating because I knew I had to get better. And I think you have to recognize those things and acknowledge the fact of your weaknesses and want to get better.
Yeah. And I think, you talk about acknowledging your weaknesses. You talk about, understanding those sorts of things. Jake, one of the other things that I think Ian mentioned it a little earlier, but, success isn't linear. Success doesn't always go up like this. There's going to be ups and downs. And in a normal season, you're going to work upwards of 60, 70 hockey games, and they're not all going to be perfect. So what do you do? What advice do you give to some of our officials in the audience, especially a guy like Mike Marino, who's out there, who just started officiating and, might have times where they lose a little bit of confidence or they struggle on the ice? What do you tell that official that, maybe goes through that rough patch? Because I'm sure all of you guys on there experience that. What do you do to right the ship, so to speak?
Yeah, that's another great question from you guys. I'll tell you, for me, one thing that's really helped me is listen, you slow down and you start from, one shift at a time. You take it into small increments. You don't look at it as a 70 game, 80 game season, 100 game season. You look at it as, I got a game tomorrow. I got the first couple of minutes of the game. I want to work a great game up until we have our first commercial break. And at the commercial break, we'll reassess, see where we're at, and we'll tackle the next thing at that point. I think sometimes when you look at it at a large level, you're looking at it, you have this 100 game schedule, and it looks like this huge task that you have to complete. So I think it's important if to reset and just take every moment in, and you can only make one call at a time, and just try to slow yourself down and get yourself back into the mode of not trying to look at it on such a huge scale.
That's great advice. It's the old, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Just break it down into small bits. Walshy, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the one thing I've learned over the years is the game has a way of humbling you. I've had stretches in my career where I felt like everything I did was right, and you start riding a high. And I always tell guys, don't get too high, don't get too low. And before you know it, you miss a call, and then you miss another call, and then you do something, you make a wrong call, and things start snowballing. So, the game is so fast, so quick, so tough, so hard. It's such a hard job officiating at any level. It doesn't matter what level you're doing. It's a hard job. And when you make a mistake, you have a short memory. Acknowledge the mistake, figure out what you did wrong, what you can do better next time, how to prevent that same mistake from happening again. But you in order to be successful in this business, having a short memory is very helpful. Putting it behind you and moving on to the next call. And like I said, I've had stretches where things have gone really well for me and stretches where things have not gone really well for me. And I feel like every time I feel like I'm on top of the world with the game, something happens and the game just humbles you, and you realize that, oh boy, I got a lot of work to do still.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic advice. As we work our way towards the top of the hour and wrapping things up here, Murph, any parting thoughts or anything you want to leave our audience with as a guy that's had the kind of success you've had on the ice within the league?
I say this all the time when I'm at the program Americamp. I mean, it's a roller coaster, and we're on that same roller coaster you guys are on. And I think these guys just said it, Jake and Ian just said it best. I mean, you can't let things get too high, and you can't let things get too low. And I think the thing that everybody always I had this I was at this summer camp one time, and we do these exit interviews at the end of the camp, and the kid walked in at the interview at 7 o'clock in the morning, sat across from me and said, what makes you successful? And I didn't have an answer for about 30 seconds, because I don't think anybody thinks about really what makes you successful. But I did come up with the answer, and to me, for me, and I think it's important for officiating, is it's the power of good habits. And I think whether that's positioning or whatever it is, whether it's your mindset, whether it's your ability to show up at the rink on time, your rule knowledge and developing habits there. I mean, you just got to develop a lot of great habits, and that's going to make you successful. And the best officials, in my opinion, all have really great habits. They're very consistent, and I think that's what I tried to be, and I think that's what the coaches want. And I see that now involved in my job in management is, they want consistency, and I think that's the biggest thing. If you want to be a successful official, you got to be consistent.
That's great. Jake, any parting comments for us this evening?
No, thanks for having me on. I hope we can get back to doing all the camps and get back to hockey being back to normal again here soon. Just wanted to say thanks for having me, and I've really enjoyed being a part of the panel tonight with you guys.
That's fantastic. Walshy, anything you want to leave our audience with?
Yeah, I would just say enjoy the time at the rink when you're there. I mean, if you're able to officiate games now, enjoy that time. I wasn't able to officiate games for close to a year during the pandemic, the shutdown and stuff where I live. Luckily, I was able to skate with a group of guys, and that was the highlight of my day every day, was getting to the rink and just going out and playing some pickup hockey 3 or 4 times a week. And it just made me realize how much I love the game and love being a part of the game. And now that I'm lucky enough to be back on the ice doing my job, just enjoying the time and truly appreciating the love of hockey and the love of working with the guys that I'm able to work with. And just, if you're at the rink working games, enjoy it. Enjoy every minute of it, the ups and downs of it. So that's it.
No, that's perfect. And that's a great way to wrap things up here. On behalf of USA Hockey, we couldn't be prouder of the three of you guys, of everything you've done. Jake, we all look forward to watching your career progress over the coming years. We wish you nothing but the best. And for Murph and Ian, we've always enjoyed watching you on the ice, and certainly are also grateful for the time that all three of you have put into USA Hockey and giving back. I know, I like to say that USA Hockey is it's built on the backs of the volunteers. And when you guys, much like you're doing tonight, when you give us time out of your busy schedules to help better officiating across the country, we all very much appreciate it. As we do get into the top of the hour here, and we talk about our upcoming schedule, the next 3 Tuesdays, these are what our topics are. We're going to spend next week for that question on summer camps. USA Hockey and BJ Ringrose will be back next week to talk a little bit more about what the plan is. Certainly our hope right now, and with anything or with everything these days, it's all very much in pencil and very fluid, but our hope is we are going to be able to do some summer camps. And so BJ will be talking about that. Then we're going to follow up with a program update, letting all of you know what's going on within the USA Hockey officiating program. And then we'll be back, and kind of one of those things we've talked about already today and whatnot. We're going to have an episode on managing mistakes, and kind of the mental aspect about that, and how to overcome mistakes, because we certainly all make them. And talk a little bit about the mental side of officiating. So once again, thank you to our panelists. Thank you for you at home watching on Zoom tonight. We wish you all the best. We also wish you good luck with electricity and heat across the country, because it's cold everywhere except maybe Hawaii. And thanks to everybody, and we'll see you next Tuesday. So bye for now.